Joel.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you so much for coming.
You're back.
I am. Back from where?
You gone for a couple weeks or something?
Oh, just a week. Went up north.
Skiing?
400 miles north, yep. Nope. Here we are.
How was it?
It was fantastic. Like, there was no snow here. You think, oh, maybe I shouldn't go. But, no, it was fantastic.
I like the
This
fact up there.
area is like a snow belt off of Lake Superior. So it has the whole length of Lake Superior to gain moisture underneath the stumps.
I think I saw a tweet. They had more snow than Buffalo so far this year. Is that possible?
Could be.
Focus on that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live there either. Right here in this area.
Well, today is pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good
A lot
night.
of taste.
Yeah.
A lot of taste.
Would even be a reasonable day to go out to Pigeon Creek to see about skiing.
Today or tomorrow morning. I kind of think we got to get beat in today by people have to work, and then we can go tomorrow morning.
That's only good idea.
I'll throw that in there.
Well, I heard Todd this weekend, so he draws a crowd every year.
Yeah.
It's a Baptist church. There's actually an immersion Baptist.
So there.
It started out as a Baptist church. I don't want to be the only one in the front seat.
Well, good morning. Good morning, all 7 or 8 of you. Just kidding. It is good to be with each and every one of you that is with us here this morning. And all of you who join us from home, I am certain there are more of you watching online today than here in this at least warm sanctuary on this very cold and blustery and snowy January morning. Welcome. My name is Reverend Christopher Rowe, for those of you who do not know me. I use he, him pronouns, and in this season I serve as the acting senior minister here at Fountain Street Church, where love and justice and service and compassion are the shared works of this congregation's liberated and liberating faith. And it is good to be with each of you. You are valued. You are valued. And you are valued at home as well. We said that through COVID, and we say that each and every time you decide that it is safer or more comfortable to worship from your home or your office or your car, or months from now, or even years when you stumble upon us in the archives. Welcome. This morning we have a special service. We have a few guests with us, as well as the entire Build Guild leadership crew who will be holding a special service today, Repairing to Restore. It was about a year ago actually, when somebody from the Build Guild reached out and said, we'd like to do a service kind of on these themes of our commitment to housing and security and justice in Grand Rapids and West Michigan. And so we started planning for this date, which felt like a millennium away, and here we are. It is finally here. It is good to be with you. We'll hear more about each of them in a little bit. It's also so wonderful to welcome Joe back to the organ. Thank you, Joe. Yay. As we prepare for worship, I invite you to hear our invitation to worship, which comes to us from a personal favorite of mine, Dorothy Day, American activist. Hear how her voice is inviting each and every one of us to worship in this space or from home this morning. People say, what is the sense of a small effort? They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is like that. No one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. There is too much work to do. In that spirit, we welcome you to worship. And in that spirit, I invite you to turn to one another and greet one another with the peace of love. The peace of love is with you. As we prepare for our opening hymn, we'll try that again. As we prepare for our opening hymn, you will find it actually printed in the program at the request of the Build Guild. We will be singing If I Had a Hammer, appropriate for the theme today. So please join in one voice as we sing If I Had a Hammer, found in your bulletin. I hope you can read that font.
Well, look at all of you out there. Thank you for coming. My name is Connie Winter-Troutwine. Our first reading this morning comes to us from the poem To Be of Use by Marge Piercy. Hear what the spirit of community and belonging is saying to us this morning. The people I love the best jump into work head first, without dallying in the shallows, and swim off with sure strokes almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black, sleek heads of seals bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm. When the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, howpea vases that held corn are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Nice, and I'm doing the second reading this morning. It is from a poem by Mary Oliver called The Summer Day. Hear what the spirit of life and living is saying to us this morning. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar from my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day long. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, yeah. My name is Todd Fettig. I've been a member at Fountain Street Church for about 2 decades now. And I'm here to share with you what is an incomplete story of Build Guild and its accomplishments. It's incomplete and imperfect, and there's a portion of the history yet to be written. But everything about this and everything about the effort of Build Guild has been very tangible and real as well. Build Guild's roots date back more or less to 2009, or 2009, when 18 Fountain Streeters hopped on a bus and went to New Orleans to volunteer for a week of service to help rebuild after Hurricane Katrina. We partnered with a United Methodist organization in New Orleans that pretty much pointed us in the right direction, gave us the tools to use, and told us what to do. And we worked on 2 homes, I should say, 2 homes in New Orleans. And by the end of the week, we had accomplished something. We could point back and look at our accomplishments and feel good about that. The trip was followed in 2010 by another group of Fountain Streeters lending their hands to rebuild New Orleans. And then later in 2018, a group of us went to Port Arthur, Texas. That was in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. And then in 2020, to New Bern, North Carolina, in the aftermath of Hurricane Florence. Also around that time in 2018 and 2019, a large group of volunteers here at this church partnered with Family Promise and set out on a very ambitious goal, which was met, to refurbish 2 trailers and transform them into homes for families locally in need. Throughout this era, and I call this the pre-COVID era, like so 1 to 3 PC for pre-COVID, we partnered with Habitat for Humanity on some projects, including a 1-day event where we drew 20 Fountain Streeters to an apartment complex being built on the southwest side of town. And we made, by the end of the day, we could point back and say, we did that. We installed those windows or framed those windows. We made something happen. We even contributed to a major effort led by Kent District Library at the time to collect books for Port Arthur, Texas, and several members of this congregation collected the books, but also donated books. And we donated those to Port Arthur, Texas for its library, which was damaged by hurricane. In February 2018, the name Build Guild kind of stuck. We had bounced around several different names, including Rebuild Guild, which is probably very appropriate, very apt for what we're talking about and what we're doing right now, rebuilding Build Guild. But Build Guild stuck. Build Guild is the name that won out. And so from that moment forward, we, had a logo and we had T-shirts and we kind of developed some momentum around Build Guild. We also drafted a mission statement. And that mission statement is bringing people together to take action, whether near or far, to help make and restore homes for those who need a hand. Bringing people together to take action, whether near or far, to help make and restore homes for those who need a hand. So Build Guild was kind of finding its groove, or at least trying to. We were focusing on consistent work near home while kind of having the mindset of planning a big trip to contribute to lend our efforts elsewhere. Along with the rest of the world, however, Build Guild wasn't really planning on COVID. And although I was not on this trip, I've been told that the Build Guild group that was in New Bern, North Carolina, doing work in North Carolina started to hear reports of the pandemic as it was starting to shape our lives and redefine the next few years. And thank goodness that crew made it back safely to Grand Rapids in West Michigan just before the rest of the world started shutting down for the pandemic. So the pandemic, like most others, like any other group, any other individual, really forced us to pause and reflect, take stock of what we could do and what we could do safely in that time. During this time, thanks to really just determination and steadfast leadership by Dolly Lutz and a small number of volunteers that included Jay Fowler and Jim Winter Troutwine, Skip Swanson, Build Guild kind of pressed on and, thinking on a smaller scale, trying to establish or reestablish itself and trying to just do something, do some good work and stay connected. During this time, Build Guild established monthly work sessions with either Family Promise or Home Repair Services, and you'll get to hear from them in just a little bit. We did some work with the Land Conservancy, and we even did some work, some side gigs for congregants who needed help, and even some work within the church building, some painting projects, some light projects to help character school and other needs here in the church. So we tried to reflect through that all, a few of us, and tried to put a number, like how many hours have we put into this? And the estimates are far from perfect. But I'm pretty confident in saying that if you add up all the people working all of those gigs, working all of those hours over all of those years, that Fountain Streeters and friends of Fountain Streeters have put in more than 1,000 hours of work through Build Guild and in partnership with other organizations. 1,000 hours of work feels pretty good. We've been trying. And while it's really, the work that's done, the building, the refurbishing, the rehabbing, that's of the utmost importance, there's another component to Build Guild that is also important, and that is bringing people together. That's the first part of our mission statement, bringing people together. So we actually have made space on every work project or after every work project to have fun. Nobody believes me when I say this, but it's the honest truth that when we planned that first New Orleans trip, I really had no idea it happened to coincide with Mardi Gras. It was the exact week when we were in New Orleans happened to be Mardi Gras, which of course is the biggest party on the face of the earth, and we were there, and there were parades just down the street, and there were festivities and fun to be had, but at the end of the week, we also accomplished some things. It's in trying to form this kind of the Build Guild as a welcoming community and bringing people together. It's okay to maybe joke or make light of our abilities and our skills. You might hear common questions about, is it measure twice and cut once, or is it the other way around, cut once and measure twice? I don't know, but we make light of our abilities. We sometimes refer to ourselves as the good enough builders. But at the end of the day, we do bring some skills and some ability, and like I said before, we get things done, and we can show and look back and measure some success and progress. And this is where I want to borrow some language from the Reverend Christopher, who has been really encouraging us to lean into the messy work of building community. And working with Build Guild is messy. It can be messy. The planning, the coordination, the execution. Anytime that I come remotely close to anything like a paintbrush or a paint roller, it gets messy. But it is messy work that is fulfilling work, and it is measurable work, even if imperfect. From the beginning, we've been intentional about trying to match people's skills with their interests, making sure people are playing to their strengths, with appropriate projects where they will succeed and maybe just stretch their comfort zones just a little bit. So With that, I say, if you actually had the hammer, as referenced earlier in the song, if you actually had a hammer in your hand and were working with Build Guild, you would know what to do with that hammer because it would be spelled out for you, and you would have every opportunity to put that hammer toward good use and toward a good end of helping those in need locally. I want to introduce you to two of our community partners. And first, you're going to hear from Kelsey Vining, who is the Congregational Development Manager of Family Promise. And then you're going to hear from Joel Ruiter, who is the Executive Director of Home Repair Services. And they'll share a bit about their mission and what they do and how Build Guild and the greater Fountain Street Church community can help their efforts. So with that, Kelsey.
All right. Short people problems, right? Oh, it is so good to be with you all here this morning at Fountain Street. Fountain Street has partnered with us so beautifully for over 10 years in the work that we do at Family Promise, and I'll share a little bit more about that as I go. But for those of you that might not know, Family Promise provides emergency shelter and basic needs, housing, and support services to families in the community. We've been around for 25 years. We started as the Greater Grand Rapids Interfaith Hospitality Network, where we were sheltering families in church communities 1 week at a time, which Fountain Street is also involved in to this day with Grace Episcopal. And that's a beautiful relationship you hold there and helping shelter our families in that work. But as we have grown over that 25 years, we have started to provide a larger spectrum of services to families who are in a housing crisis, from that prevention space and helping families who might be falling into homelessness and how we support them and how we keep them from coming into shelter if they don't have to that emergency shelter space if needed, as well as that stabilization area where we support families in their homes once they move home, which includes the work of Partners in Housing, which I'll share more about in a second, to that housing work. So we've really grown, and that's in part of Fountain Street's amazing partnership with us and coming alongside us for so many years in that. So thank you all for that work. So an overview of Partners in Housing. Partners in Housing really is Family Promise's one of our solutions to the affordable housing crisis that we're seeing right now in our community. For over 10 years, we as an agency have been purchasing mobile homes in manufactured home parks that we partner with, and we will use volunteer support as well as individuals from the community, our housing team, to rehab these homes and bring them up to par for the families that we serve. And then we will work with community partners as well as internally to find the families that are in those housing crisis situations that might need a mobile home. And we have the opportunity, once a family comes out of a housing crisis into one of these homes, we work with them for a year. We have case management staff that go visit them in their homes and support them and love on them and encourage them. And I personally, I've been at Family Promise for 10 years, and about 6 of my years, I had the honor of doing that with families in that social work space. And I look back on many family relationships and am just in awe of their strength and their resilience and what these homes were able to provide for them in that time. And seeing some families sell their homes back to Family Promise, it's just been a beautiful journey in that regard. So many, many family stories I can share after this, and I'll share a few at the end with you all. I wanted to share too how Fountain Street specifically has supported us over the years. So I mentioned that Interfaith Hospitality Network space. You've done Christmas kits for our kids. You've done so many things. But in Partners in Housing, as Todd was sharing, you have supported 2 homes from start to finish, which is incredible, as well as an additional 4 homes that you've helped volunteer with at some point. So I need all of us to just give a big round of applause for that amazing work. Those 6 homes that wouldn't be where they are today without the support of Fountain Street. It's just absolutely incredible. So thank you for that. So I want to talk a little bit about our park partnerships. We have almost 20 parks in the West Michigan area that we hold partnerships with. And so acquisition of these homes looks a little bit differently. There's kind of usually one of three ways. One of them is we just find out a home is for sale in one of our communities, and we're able to purchase those through the support of congregations, individuals, foundations that support the work we do to be able to purchase these homes. But also sometimes parks, because of our relationship that we hold with them, they'll say, wow, Family Promise and volunteers came in to this park, and look at that home over there. The landscaping is beautiful. The outside of the home gets repainted. They put a beautiful family with young kids into these homes that fit so well in our community. So though that's one of the ways we get them as well, is that parks see a home for sale, they know a home is coming for sale, and we are the first call that they make because of our relationship with them and because of the amazing volunteers like the Build Guild that are part of this and respect the community and respect the volunteer work so well. So that's a beautiful thing. And then a third way that we sometimes get homes is that because we've been doing this for over 10 years, we have families who have been through our program. They own the title and get the title of their home at the end of their program time. And so they become a homeowner. And they might live there for 2, 5, 7, however many years that looks for them and what's the right fit for their family. But oftentimes, families will turn around and they'll sell the unit back to Family Promise. Oftentimes, that is a no question for them. They wouldn't want to sell it to someone in the community other than Family Promise because they know the impact it had on them in their housing crisis, and they can't think of any other way and any other greater way to give back than to sell their home back to Family Promise so it can support another family who's in a housing crisis now. So that's been another beautiful part of this work with you all, is that these families who have been in this program, lived in their homes, maybe lived there successfully for several years and are on to the next thing. Maybe they get married, maybe they go on and move to another state, or they get a job, or they purchase a stick-built home. It's a variety of reasons why they would sell it back, but it's just a beautiful opportunity when families do that, and we get to see them come back in the door and write them a check for their home. It's just so beautiful. So I'm going to wrap up with just a few family stories so that you all get a true idea of the heart of this work, which is the kids and families that we get to serve. One of the families in the past couple of years that we've worked with is a mom named Tori. And Tori is a mom of 3, a single mom. She became homeless due to a family breakup of sorts that happened in her family. And she moved to another city and was part of our IHN program for a little while. So that means she went through and slept at our churches while she was in a housing crisis until she found Partners in Housing. She was eligible. We had her apply for this program, and she was able to get in. And that mom lived there for 3 or 4 years in her unit, and then was able to sell it back to Family Promise and move on to the next best thing for her family. Another family that we've worked with recently, and this is actually one of the homes that Build Guild did from start to finish, is a mom named Jenny. Jenny got into her Partners in Housing home also due to a family breakup. She was kind of hopping around in a housing crisis, got connected to one of our prevention workers, and she was a great candidate, a hardworking mom working over full-time hours. Kids were all in school doing well. She just needed a safe place to land. And so she applied. She was able to get into her home after Fountain Street did their amazing work with their rehab and painting and just getting it to be a beautiful space. And to this day, Jenny is still in her home in that particular park in the Comstock Park area with her 3 kids. She's hardworking. She increased her income while she was in our program and got her title right on time at the end. And that's, like I said, all because of the amazing work that Fountain Street is doing to support these families. So give yourself another round of applause. We're so grateful for the Builders Guild and their amazing work in this. And Jim and I, who is our director of housing, will be at a table in the gathering area, the coffee area afterwards, and we'd love to share more stories, answer your questions about the Builders Guild, and talk a little bit more about what it looks like to come volunteer in the Partners in Housing program at Family Promise. Thanks.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Joel Ruiter. I'm blessed to serve as the executive director of a nonprofit called Home Repair Services of Kent County. Our roots trace back to the faith community. Actually, the diocese here in Grand Rapids started a ministry of repair. And they would get phone calls on days like today where somebody woke up and the furnace went to the thermostat and that furnace didn't respond. And they didn't have the resources to get it going. So they started making phone calls all over town, and they thought probably the best place to start would be the faith community. Surely they will answer our call and have a solution. So the diocese ran us as a ministry for a couple of years and said, you know what, this needs to be bigger than us. In fact, it needs to be bigger than just the faith community. So we were spun off as an independent nonprofit in 1979. So we are embarking on our 44th year of service as an independent nonprofit. Our mission is to support homeowners anywhere in Kent County with the resources they need to be successful and have sustained success as homeowners. It's a big deal to own a home in the United States. The Federal Reserve studies it every 4 years. They put a monetary value on it. It's how most white Americans have built generational wealth. In fact, the Federal Reserve says you're 46 times having greater net worth if you own a home than if you rent. It's a powerful statistic. So when we think about justice in our community and we think about being a caring community, we want to make sure not only that people have warm homes and safe homes, but also have a chance to make the finish line of owning a home and have that generational wealth passed on to the next generation. That's how we get really an effective change. We express our work really in 3 pillars. One is the original one, which is how we repair homes. We focus on critical health and safety repairs. So furnaces. In fact, last year we had 368 phone calls to our office. My furnace doesn't work. We don't have the resources to get it going. We had all 368 folks back with heat, and 143 of them required a brand new furnace, which took place through the work of Home Repair Services. We focused on leaking roofs. We want to make sure that the asset isn't being ruined by wet conditions and certainly mold creating, and so what that does for asthma and so forth. So dry homes, warm homes, hot water heaters. Then we focus on things that are really important for critical aging in place items. So wheelchair access ramps, we've been doing that for over 3 decades. And then we modify bathrooms where we take out the bathtub and we put in a low-threshold shower stall, mainly for seniors. Leading cause of death for someone over the age of 60 is complications from a fall. So that work is really, really important for us to help folks at low to moderate income age in their homes and do it safely and gracefully. So that's kind of our repair work. The second pillar is a suite of programs which we call self-help, where we really are focusing on the individuals living in homes, and this is a little different. The first one, the repair pillar, is income restricted. These programs are open to anybody, any income in the community. So we love to teach people how to fix things in their home. So every Saturday we do a 2-hour workshop on something you can do as a DIYer. So I brought a show and tell today. You probably can't see what this is, I'll tell you. It's the toilet flapper. We teach people how to change this little guy out. It's $7.31 on Amazon. If you hire a plumber to come to your home, it's probably about $180 to $200 service call. Now, in the storied history of Fountain Street and its pulpit, I doubt anybody has brought a flapper up here. So I think we need to pause and just think about that a minute. But we're really just trying to empower people to do it themselves and to fix things around their home. Yesterday in our plumbing class, we had 52 people show up who wanted to learn a basic plumbing skill. So we love to educate. We also love to educate people in their homes about their own homes. So we offer a free home inspection. Anybody in this room that lives in Kent County would love to have us come out as a nonprofit. We're not there to sell you anything. We're there to educate you about your structure. And the longer you live in a house, the more easy it is to look at it through your own tired eyes. I am the biggest culprit of that. 25 years in my current residence, I am so used to looking at it through my tired eyes and find things acceptable that I know are not. So to have somebody come in with fresh eyes and no agenda but to educate you, we'd love to partner with you in that. And then the third thing we do under these self-help suite of programs is to help people take on and have the courage to remodel their own kitchen. So it is still DIY. We're not doing it for them, but we're doing it alongside. So we wrap together our home inspections, we wrap together our education, and then we provide coaching and access to kitchen cabinets. One of the most expensive items to buy to remodel your home, in your home, is the actual cabinetry. And so we actually use volunteers, and the Build Guild has helped us in this space as well, building kitchen cabinets so somebody can get a dream kitchen built that they can afford. So we're taking out the fear, I don't know how, we give you education, we give you coaching, and then we remove the barrier of cost. So that's pillar number 2, self-help. And the third pillar is something we got into in 2001, which is housing counseling, really for folks that find themselves in danger of losing their home to foreclosure. I love the fact that you're being challenged to engage a messy world, right? And that's what we're talking about here. These are messy problems often, but they are solvable if we get the right people with the right training and the right hearts behind creating solutions. So we, for the last 20 plus years, have been working with people to save their home from foreclosure. And in the meantime, we also teach in that space about budgeting and credit and develop the skills to hopefully stay out of crisis as well. So if you think about all 3 of those pillars, they're designed to help somebody have sustained success as a homeowner. We love to use the bucket metaphor. We're not the organization that pours into the bucket called homeownership. In fact, our friends at Family Promise do that. They're creating a homeowner through getting them a mobile home in a mobile home park. And then we can pick up the baton, knowing that in that bucket called homeownership, in that messy world, there's holes in it. And we want to plug as many of those holes as we can. We're really profoundly grateful for our relationship with the Fountain Street Build Guild. I think it's 2 years now that we've been working together, and it's just been a wonderful engagement. And I can say, in observing this group, that very genuine people who have fun. Now, if you're going to hang out and use your spare time for good, you want to do it with genuine people, and you also want to have some laughs along the way, and I think you'll experience that if you engage with the Build Guild. I also will be around afterwards at a table to answer any questions you may have about home repair services. And I just again want to thank this body here for thinking externally. Through the pandemic, it's been very easy to become insular, especially with institutions, and so I commend you all for thinking beyond your own walls and about organizations and how they can support people in the community. So, thank you.
All right, thank you both. And I hope you can see why we choose to partner with these organizations. The success is obvious, and the motivation and the way that Build Guild volunteers can kind of plug into these organizations and take their direction and take the baton and run with it makes all the sense in the world for us to accomplish what we can with our kind of small but mighty group of Build Guild volunteers. We're small and mighty, but we want to get bigger, so we want to invite you to the social hall. We need help. We have some goals. Build Guild has goals this year to take on this spring 2 concentrated efforts locally, so not traveling somewhere else, but to focus here in West Michigan in partnership with Family Promise and Home Repair Services to do 2 week-long refurbish, rebuild projects. And so I invite you to the social hall after this service to learn more about that, to learn more about Family Promise, to learn more about Build Guild. You get a chance in Home Repair Services. Family Promise, Home Repair Services, and Build Guild will all have tables in the social hall. You can learn about all 3 organizations. You can sign up for email, to be on the email invitation list for Build Guild and learn about what we have in store and in mind for helping those who are housing insecure here in our own neighborhood. So with that, thank you all. Thank you, Connie, for putting together this service. I give major credit to Connie Winter Troutwine for putting together this service, and and Reverend Christopher for really encouraging us to do this and opening this space for us. So thank you all.
You may be seated. Friends, we have a moment in every service in which we tangibly embody this virtue and endeavor to build the common good. It is done in the weekly ingathering of our gifts and our resources. Here at Fountain Street Church, we have a rich tradition of designating 50% of the plate to the common good beyond these walls. And we do it in a collective impact kind of manner. We do it in a way in which we entrust those gifts and we entrust those resources to the organizations and the nonprofits and the agencies that we trust will do more with our resources than we ever could. And so this morning we see that in action with both organizations we have invited into our pulpit today. And so we are going to give 50% of our plate today to both organizations, Home Repair Services and Family Promise, in this spirit of collective impact and in giving for the common good. And so in the spirit of generosity, please give graciously, and remember that we have electronic forms of giving from Venmo and text to give, which you will see on your screen, or you can check out in the Narthex lobby afterwards. In the spirit of the common good and building a better and more just world, the offering will now be received. As we depart, we have just a few announcements. As you heard, there is a warm invitation to go to the social hall following the service. There you will be able to greet with the Build Guild and both organizations. We have some tables set up, so please go over there for some time of fellowship with one another, some warm coffee or tea before you venture back out into that January afternoon. And of course, learn more about this issue of justice and compassion that we love so dearly here at Fountain Street Church. I also want to just give a preview. It's February already, next Sunday, and so as we look ahead at a month of Sundays, I just wanted to kind of give you that glimpse. I like to do that seasonally. So the next 2 weeks, we'll have a bit of I'm not a big sermon series person. However, we've got church life happening, and I hear there's a vote coming up in a few weeks. And so next week, we will be starting part 1 of a 2-part series just called What Are You Doing? And that is simply a look at what you are doing when we make a decision like calling a senior minister. And then appropriately, the second week of that series, which is Valentine's weekend, will be called What Are We Doing? And that is simply what is a relationship between ministers and the clergy and the world beyond these walls, which is what matters most. Following that week, we will be welcoming into our pulpit Sal Sapienza. He is a vibrant UCC minister who comes to us from Douglas Congregational Church in Douglas, Michigan. Just vibrant with energy, eclecticism in their membership, and a heavy interfaith bend. And so I look forward to welcoming in here, and we're going to do a collaborative worship service together. And then finally, if you can believe it, it's time for Ash Wednesday and Lent, which is indeed a season we've been embracing with a little more openness over the last few years, and we really embrace the gifts of the mess and the messiness and the liminality of it all. So please stay tuned for some midweek opportunities that will come our way during that season, as well as some special planned services that we have for this community. I want to thank you all for being here. It is good to worship with you, whether you are here in the seats or you are joining us from home. You are a part of this community, and you are deeply valued. Thank you so much to Joe for providing music today. Thank you to all of our guests and Todd, of course, and Connie and Kathy for participating in worship, and the whole Build Guild for lifting this up. And thank you to each of you who continue to call this your home. May you go in peace. May you go in love, knowing that peace and love are with you, within you, and all around you until we see one another again next week. Go in peace.